I'd like to call the meeting of the Urbana City Council to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Jacobson, Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Miss Marlin,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Here.
Mr. Smythe,
Here.
Miss Stevenson, Mayor Pressing.
Here. We have minutes from January 22nd and from January 28th, which was a special meeting.
Move approval?
For both of them?
Yes.
Okay, Robert Lewis moves the approval of both. Is there a second?
I'll second, but I have a correction.
Okay, Dennis Roberts seconds, and you have a correction?
Yeah, we're talking about the meeting of the 28th,
Okay,
and there was a closed session, and I didn't arrive in time to vote to go into it, but I was here to vote to leave it.
okay.
And that was on the last page at the top. So I don't know how that might be adjusted, but to be honest, I didn't make the beginning of the meeting. I came in late.
So is that something that can be fixed? Okay, the clerk will fix it.
Thanks.
Any other additions or corrections? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Then we move to public petitions and communications. I have 3 people who have filled out forms about Ellis subdivision. Reverend Dr. Evelyn B. Underwood, Bishop King James Underwood, and Carletta Donaldson, and none of them want to comment for the record at this point. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Urbana City Council? Would you like to fill out a card?
Madam Mayor, I submitted a card on that also, but I didn't want to talk either.
Oh, okay. I don't have your card.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Unfinished business, I don't think there's anything that we're going to be dealing with. I should go back. Is there any other communication that someone has that they want to address us with? Okay. We'll move to reports of standing committees, the Committee of the Whole. Heather Stevenson.
Ordinance number 2013-01-010, an ordinance revision.
Revising.
That's what I. Revising the annual budget ordinance fiscal year 2012-2013 fire grant for the committee. I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Dennis Roberts. Any discussion? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Miss Marlin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smythe,
Yes.
Miss Stevenson.
Yes. Does the mayor vote on this?
It's a budget.
Budget.
Oh, okay, yes, Mayor Pressing.
Yes. That motion carries.
Ordinance number 2013-01-007, an ordinance approving a second amendment to the City of Urbana and Urbana Home Consortium Annual Action Plan fiscal years 2011, 2012, and 2012 to 2013 for the committee. I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Robert Lewis. Any discussion? Brandon Bowersox Johnson.
I guess I just wanted to say for the record that there was a correspondence from a CD commissioner, and I wanted to thank Dr. Tyler Libby for giving such a helpful response to the commissioners. I know if people might have remembered from the packet a week or 2 ago, the CD Commission had been concerned and didn't actually at their meeting get to see all of these transfers that Diane had subsequently put into a diagram and helped explain last week. And Libby was really helpful in kind of explaining how that all happened, giving some additional information to CD commissioners. And I just want to say I very much value the commissioners. I always read the minutes of their meetings. It's helpful to understand why things were done and why they weren't. And, you know, this is the second time in 8 years that I can remember that we have not voted the way the CD Commission wanted us to, but for an 8-year stretch, that's a pretty good batting average. And in this case, I think we had information about the fuller picture that the Commission didn't at the time, and that was apparent. So I guess that's in my mind, why, in this case, I voted the way I did, and I support this tonight. And certainly it's helpful to kind of close that loop and make sure the commissioners get the information, and to make sure that they really do understand that the service they provide is incredibly valuable, and that we depend on their work and depend on reading their minutes and knowing that their input went into things along the way. So thanks to Libby and Diane and others who have helped to sort this out.
Okay. Charlie?
Yeah, and I'll just add, apologies to the CD Commission for not acknowledging them. It was I think it was a little after 10 o'clock when we got to it. We'd been here for 4 hours already at that point, and I think that we just overlooked acknowledging them in the light of the information that Diane had put together for us, which made all of it fall together. I had read it. I had noted that by the time I got to the third item in there, I understood where it was going, because the third item tells you, if you'd started with the third item first and worked backwards, you understood it much better, and that's what it took to figure it out. So, but the picture was worth 1,000 words, literally, and Follow the Money made it very clear, and so it would have been appropriate to acknowledge the commissioners, and I'm afraid we didn't. So to that, I apologize.
Diane?
And just so that the watching public understands what we're doing, this ordinance that we are considering now and the next two will facilitate 3 things. It will be installation of new streetlights in the King Park area, which is a long-awaited project. It will fund construction of a pathway, Lenore Adams Pathway, which is in the Embets 2 neighborhood, and it will help support the demolition of the Urbana townhomes. So these 3 projects are very, very important to their respective neighborhoods, and I thank Community Development staff and the Community Development Commission for everything they've done to get us to this point.
Okay, anyone else have a comment? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Miss Marlin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smythe,
Yes.
Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Ordinance number 2013-01-008, an ordinance revising the annual budget ordinance fiscal year 2012-2013 CDBG fund for city infrastructure. For the committee, I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Diane Marlin. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Miss Marlin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smythe,
Yes.
Miss Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Pressing.
Yes. That motion carries.
Ordinance number 2013-01-009, an ordinance revising annual budget ordinance fiscal year 2012-2013 capital improvement Urbana townhomes. For the committee, I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Dennis Roberts. Any discussion? Dennis?
Yeah, I just want to say that I also appreciate the input from the CD Commission. We don't always see things exactly the same way, and the City Council doesn't always agree with the mayor either. Sometimes the Lerman Avenue neighborhood really appreciates council's support in assisting the demolition of the Urbana townhomes through this funding aspect of the ordinance, and we hope to see new and improved things happening in that neighborhood.
Anyone else? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Miss Marlin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smythe,
Yes.
Miss Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Pressing.
Yes. That motion carries.
Ordinance number 2013-01-006, an ordinance approving a First Amendment to an agreement for use of right-of-way with MCC Networking Services, LLC, Goodwin Avenue between University Avenue and Stoughton Street. For the committee, I so move.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Charlie Smythe. Any discussion? Did you want to say something? Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Miss Marlin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smythe,
Yes.
Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Resolution number 2013-01-001R, a resolution authorizing execution of a construction engineering service agreement for federal participation with Clark Dietz Incorporated, Champaign, Illinois, Main Street and Race Street, HSIP signal improvements. For the committee, I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Robert Lewis. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Marlin?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Resolution number 2013-01-002R, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a local agency state agreement for federal participation with the Illinois Department of Transportation, Main Street and Race Street, HSIP construction and construction engineering services. For the committee, I so move.
Second.
Motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Robert Lewis. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Marlin?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Are there any reports of special committees? I don't think so. Reports of officers? Anyone have a report? Tom Carino, Economic Development.
Thank you. Everyone should have received an electronic copy of this month's Economic Development Report. Tonight we have a food theme with a little sprinkling of public art. The Common Ground Food Co-op will hold a a week of festivities starting February 11th to celebrate their full completion of their expansion. So that's exciting at Lincoln Square Village. A new concept, a small format grocery at Southgate Plaza called Rulers is going to be locating on Philo Road. We're working with the property owner and the retailer to complete build out of that store. Louie's Dixie Kitchen is a new Cajun Creole and barbecue restaurant that is located at the former El Toro on Cunningham Avenue. They had a soft opening this weekend, and I believe they're open with a full menu today. Also, Masamigos has relocated to the former Dos Reales and Cocina Real location on University Avenue, and they are now open. Also, related to the Middle Market, the UBA has organized an event called the Middle Market, which bridges the gap between Holiday Market and the Market at the Square. They held the first event on January 19th, and then upcoming events will be February 16th, March 16th, and April 20th, and the first event on January 19th was successful. Online applications for the city's Market at the Square are now available for vendors and community groups to register, and those applications can be found at urbanaillinois.us/application. And then finally, related to public art, the city received over 50 applications, that's 50, for the 2013 Urbana Arts Grants Program. And the online application was used for the first time this year and was very successful. So we're very excited about that system and the applications. And then finally, the Artist of the Corridor for this quarter is now up, and those are photographs taken by Wiley School fifth graders, and it's a very exciting exhibition out in the corridor here at City Hall. So with that, I will be happy to try to answer any questions.
Any questions for Tom? Dennis?
It's very exciting to hear that the food store Rulers is moving in on South Philo Road and occupying a space that's been vacant for quite a while. It's going to re-energize that part of the corridor. And can you describe a little bit about the kinds of service they're going to provide? It's a little bit different. I don't really understand their history. So
Sure. The way it's been described to me is they are a competitor of, say, Aldi. They are a Kroger brand. They will carry a lot of Kroger's proprietary brands, a lot of discount foods, So again, a competitor, say an Aldi.
Mhm. Yeah, my mom goes to Kroger's all the time up in Detroit, and so yeah, this should be pretty interesting and very great to have that business coming to town.
Thank you very much, Tom. Are there any other reports of officers? Okay, we'll move on to new business. I have 2 appointments I'm requesting. The first is Sustainability Advisory Commission, Amelia Neptune, and she is a sustainability specialist with the University of Illinois.
Do you want to, I'll make a motion to accept that nomination.
Good choice.
Okay.
Good choice.
So there's a motion, and are you going to say that you second it?
Yeah.
You second
Okay.
it. You
Okay.
did.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And Neighborhood Safety Task Force, Thomas Grimes, who is our representative of the AMVETS 2 Neighborhood Association.
So moved.
Okay. Heather Stevenson, and then was that Diane?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And item number 2, the motion to allow the sanitary sewer connection for 1501 North Kohler has been withdrawn. So, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.